I'm Tara.
And I'm Shannon.
We're married business partners with a thriving company and a one-of-a-kind crew. But that's not where our story begins.
We believe that your past doesn't get to define your future. And for over a decade, we've been cultivating a team built on second chances.
Each day, our crew makes a choice. We decide to be better than yesterday. Together, as a family, we're not just rehabbing homes, we're rehabbing lives.
So come join us. This is Rehabbed.
When I first met Tara, it was through recovery, and she owned the business by herself, and she had needed an extra hand, and I was a painter, so, you know, girl power, and she hired me, and I was like one of her first employees of the Essence. That's when Tara strictly did only faux work and cabinet refinishes. And I worked with her for a couple years, just her and I.
Casey is like a new woman. When I met Casey, she was very insecure, really unsure of herself, had a hard time making any decisions whatsoever. And the Casey that I know today believes in herself, is confident, knows who she is, can make very decisive decisions, and she is a boss. Casey runs this company, I think sometimes more than Shannon and I do. So I appreciate that about her.
I'm really good at delegating, and that's a nice way of saying I'm bossy, you know? But I have work on my mind so often that like I'm already planning ahead. I'm like, it's a machine and there's productivity and like who's best at what. So like when the bigger picture, when you break it down, you know, who does this and then that gets done and then that gets done, and like I see all that in my brain, and I'll tell you to do it. I love our company. I love Of the Essence Designs. Our company has this energy about it, and I think it really is. It ties into a lot that we're all in recovery, man. Like we're actively trying to, you know, to incorporate these principles that we're trying to learn.
One of the most important things we do here is share our stories with each other. What that does is release the power that our history has over us. What we like to say is that what grows in the dark dies in the light of exposure.
I'm Casey, and I'm an addict in recovery. And recovery has been the only thing that's kept me clean, and honestly, it's changed my life. I grew up in a military family and was taught right from wrong at an early age. I was instilled with morals and values and right from wrong and yes ma'am and no sir and thank you please may I have another and may I be excused and chores and consequences and responsibilities, and man, and if I got in trouble I'd get punished and I would stay on restriction for a long time. I always felt awkward as we moved around, always trying to fit in. I would literally change my name from town to town and try to create this new persona, and it never worked, you know. And then so like at an early age, I started to experiment with the gateway drugs, and it was like, that's what I've been missing. This is the escape, you know. And the same thing that we've all shared, like that first time, man, I got wasted. I got in a lot of trouble. And next day I was like, but let me try again. I won't do that one. Let me try this one. And, you know, and I spent the next 25 years of my life basically trying to do that, to find that right formula. You know, and I think a lot of kids start to experiment with drugs, you know, at an early age. You know, generally I think towards high school or college, whereas I started at like 12, 13, and those gateway drugs for me immediately were like, this is the escape that I've been looking for. And even in that, like, it was always, when can I do it again? You know, and so my world quickly started to revolve around that scene. Like, I did really well in school. I'm academically gifted. But as soon as I started to really get high, that's all I cared about. As an addict in a trade, you tend to work on crews that typically there's a lot of drinking and drugging, you know, off the job and sometimes on the job. And it's an unsafe environment for somebody that's trying to not live that lifestyle. We value people that are choosing to be in recovery. As addicts, I feel like we try to work harder and above and beyond than normal, because maybe we're trying to make up for where we had messed up for years, you know. So at our company, we're not just trying to like get it done, we're trying to get it done to the best. We want it to be cleaner than when we got there, you know, like the little things that we do to go above and beyond, man. And I really think that sets our company apart.
Casey has gotten the task of doing a luster stone plaster treatment with an all-over design stencil. This is a very challenging task, and we gave it to Casey because she's a boss and we know she can handle it. It's a very meticulous project, and Casey has a lot of attention to detail, and we know she can get it done right.
So today we're starting a luster stone palette deco treatment on the walls here in this dining room. We've already painted our walls a Chantilly lace, which is just a really nice neutral white. The product that we've already mixed, the 50-50 mix, is very translucent, so you want something similar in the background. So it's a trowel technique. So I'm going to take my product that I've already mixed and I'm going to lay it on my trowel. And we're using a trowel because it is a type of plaster. So it actually gives texture to the wall. So if you were to paint it, it wouldn't give the same effect. After it's completely dry, very subtly will you see the different levels and layers, and you want it to look very organic, and that's why we use the trowels. When you start the process, you want to use a small chip brush to get into the areas that your trowel will not be able to. So I'll start by just lightly getting all the way to the edge with the chip brush, and then I'll start troweling with the product. You always want to do like an S curve, because you're trying to give it the effect of movement. And the first swipe that you make is very thick, and you don't want that. So you're continuously working back into it and spreading the product as organically as possible. I think they trusted me with the project because I have some experience in it. I've been doing the faux work with Tara the longest. They know my level of like perfectionism. I can't say, oh, it's good enough. The faux effect is something so different than just painting. It really is, it's a learned skill. It's something that has to be taught. There's products that you have to use, that you have to special order. The effects that are created it's so much more than just painting. The depth that faux effect can give in a space, the texture. There's so many different things, products that you can use to recreate. It's amazing. By the time I was graduating, barely, from high school, because I barely went, I had started to sell drugs. I was driving out of town to get these designer drugs that you couldn't find where I lived. And that gave me a sense of value and worth that I had never had before. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to know my name and what I was doing that night, and, you know, be my friend. And it went downhill fast. And so by the time I was 19, my house had got raided and I had caught felony trafficking charges. And I remember, like, that moment changed the course of my life forever. Like, in my family, you should have either went to college or joined the military. And I was trying to stay out of prison at 19. You know, and I remember that shame and guilt that went with it. Like, nobody in my family had ever been arrested, much less looking at prison. And feeling like an alien in my family. I scrambled to get my life together real quick. I was scared of the consequences. I didn't want to go to prison. And the state of North Carolina was a strong motivating factor in me getting my life together, you know, and that worked for a long time. I changed, got my stuff together, got a real job. I got married, I had my daughter, bought a house and the car and the jewelry and the swing set, and had all the things, you know, at an early age that America says that we're supposed to have. The hardest part is getting the stencil absolutely perfect, because it's a geometric pattern and it's repeating. If it starts to shift at all, it can throw you off down the road, which you don't even see until you get there. So, and because it's geometric, if it's not perfect, it's wrong. It's stressful to me. So today the final step is that we're going to put a stencil effect over it. And what I'll do is I'll use some adhesive to spray on the back of this stencil. I'll place it on the wall, and I'll take a foam roller and roll paint over it. We're gonna use a Chantilly lace matte, which is a contrasting sheen to this high sheen. So you'll see when I pull the stencil away, what'll be left is the pattern, and it will repeat all over the walls. And you'll see the effect of the matte against the luster stone showing through, and it's very elegant and very pretty. Relating the project to my life, what I think about is how I want everything to be perfect, and I want to do it on my own. I don't like to ask for help. I feel like I'm supposed to be this strong, independent person 100% of the time, and I have to do it all the way right. And I catch myself needing to ask for help and needing someone to help me, and then the evidence in that I can't do it on my own, and how well it turns out when you just ask for some help and have someone that wants to be there for you. Yeah, you can't do it all on your own all the time. So what can happen as you move your stencil over, it can slightly shift. And as that happens, it can throw off your pattern a little bit. I'm placing the stencil over what I've already done in those areas, and it lines up perfectly. And it should line up perfectly on another stencil. What's happening is I have a little too much reveal where it's not. And then, so what happens is you have to start to manipulate the stencil just enough so that you can repeat the pattern without honestly catching your eye, because it's not going to be completely perfect. Each little shift makes a difference the further you go. Chris is perfect for this. Like I literally couldn't have done the project without Chris. He's like the yin to my yang on it. He helps me stay calm also when like I'm freaking out about to lose my brain, and he's like, no, let's try it like this. And I couldn't do it on my own. It was too difficult.
I just love working with her, man. We've become super close. We can be completely honest with each other, and just like, she's the boss, man. Casey's taught me so much. She's taken me under her wing and made sure I don't fail. And I mean, she's the boss, man. She's like, not only is she our foreman and our boss, but like she's the boss. Like I know what she says is like something that's gonna help me, and I want to do it, you know. And she has that like boss mentality.
What I've learned is that I can't do it alone. You know, I tried for years, like, to just stop. I got this. I can do it my way. I don't need you guys. And that's not the case. Like, I need the support network that I have. I need someone to lead me, you know, to help me when I'm having a hard time, and to maybe give me some advice on how they got through a similar situation. Like, I can't get clean on my own, but together we do recover. I wanted to be the mom that I felt like that I had never had. I wanted to be fully vested in my daughter's life, and putting her in gymnastics and soccer, and I remember this like discontent was starting to creep in, and I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I had a beautiful family, a home, and I was unhappy. And I remember my daughter was about 5 or 6, and I remember watching her play in the front yard one evening after work, and I had this thought like, is this it? And immediately after that, I was like, what is wrong with you? This isn't enough for you? Who has this? And this like guilt, like why wasn't I satisfied with this life that I was building? I started to use drugs again, and it started out just a little on the weekend, or, you know, I'll take a couple of these, mommy's little helper, and I'll be in a good mood. And I don't have the ability to ration out drugs or just do it socially. It might not happen overnight, but what happens is that eventually I lose everything. And no matter the consequences, you know, I don't stop. My husband left because I wouldn't stop using. I was fired from my job of 7 years. I lost my daughter. I lost all those things that I'd worked so hard to gain because I couldn't stop using. I didn't want to admit that I had a problem. I didn't think that I was an addict because I didn't do those drugs. You know, I wasn't shooting up, I wasn't selling myself. It was just a little cocaine. I wasn't in denial. It was like I was delusional. I had just lost my family, my house, and my job, and was living in my cousin's laundry room, but I still didn't want to say, I think I got a problem. What I learned when I came into recovery is that addiction is a disease of like my spirit. It's my own self-centeredness. I can put down dope and pick up food and just fill a void or make myself feel better with outside things. So I became willing to go to meetings and get active in recovery. And it began to change my life. That's how I met Tara, through recovery, and started working for Of the Essence. And I've been clean for close to 2 years before I relapsed as a part of my story, and I chose to walk away from recovery. I remember feeling like I had burned so many bridges because the relationship I had formed with Tara, our friendship and in work, and to walk away from all that. And then in relapse, what has happened is like they talk about our disease is progressive, incurable, and fatal, and it takes us to these bottoms. So in relapse, I began using drugs that I'd never used before in ways that I'd never used before, and it took me to places I never thought I would go. That included prison and homelessness, and and overdose, and jails, institutions, and death. Those last few weeks and months of active addiction were the lowest in my life. Like, I had no self-worth, no value. I was pathetic. Like, my spirit and soul had just went dark. I wasn't living, I was only existing. I was only existing to get high, and if not, I just wanted to bury myself. I had absolutely no contact with my family or my daughter. They didn't know whether I was alive or dead. I couldn't work. I stayed too sick from drug use, and that's a big part of who I am. I wanted to go back to prison. Honestly, I would rather have been forcibly somebody taking care of me than the way I was living.
I've known Casey for a while, and I've watched Casey really struggle. Casey has struggled with her self-esteem and has really just struggled in general with staying stopped using. And this time, she's for real about it, and we know that. I have always loved Casey, regardless of any of the things that have ever happened, regardless of her stealing a vehicle from me, regardless of any, of the things that she did. And to watch her grow, I think the biggest thing for me to see in Casey has been for her to take full-on responsibility for her life, full-on responsibility for her success, full-on responsibility for her relationship with her daughter, which is probably more meaningful to her than anything in the world. And to see that relationship grow between the two of them, and for her to have Bella here with her, living in a home together. Casey has a home today, that's her home. She has a car, that's her car. She is the boss here at Of the Essence Designs.
I'm just forever grateful that the day I made the phone call, there was somebody that answered, and there was no judgment against me. So Shannon had offered me a job again, and I felt all this shame because of how I had left Tara and our relationship and friendship before. And he was talking about forgiveness, and it's only because they have been active in recovery for so long that they know and understand that, and they were offering me this forgiveness that I didn't feel like I was worthy of, but I was grateful for. When I came into recovery this time and just trying to get my life together, I did not set any goals. I just wanted to stay clean. I wanted to surround myself with good people, and I've been able to do that. And in that, like in its own time, I've built a life that is beyond my wildest dreams.
Megan and Casey are working in a dining room together, and Megan is working on the ceiling and Casey is working on the walls, and their treatments will actually wind up complementing each other in the end, and it's going to look fabulous in there.
Megan's silverleaf ceiling was a great complement to the luster stone on the walls. It just added that extra pop. It's stunning. When you walk in, it's right at the front entry, it's right to your right, and it catches your eye immediately. But the colors, again, still blend with the rest of the house. So it's very elegant, but it catches your eye. It was really impressive. Having my daughter back in my life is the greatest gift. There were so many years that I was absent from her life. There are moments like when my daughter asked me to put her cap and gown on her at her graduation ceremony that are priceless. Like, that gives me a feeling that no drug ever has. Like, you can't buy that in a bag. It's just like so much comes off your shoulders, to just to be doing the right thing, and the rewards that come with it. They're not even monetary, they're not physical. It's that freedom that I have every day. It's hard to put into words, like to just wake up and go about my day and not have to be a slave to something. This is all I have left, and recovery has given me this life today. Today my daughter is back with me in my life, and I have an amazing job with people that truly love and care about me, and to feel a part of something is amazing, and so I'm just really glad to be here tonight with you guys. So my word is self-worth, because I think for a long time it's something that I've struggled with, finding value in myself or taking any pride in myself. I always felt less than, And today, because of the identification and the community that I found in recovery, I feel like I have value, you know, and that's been the greatest gift of all.
Yeah.
It's the community that I found in recovery, the support that I have, people that understand the way I think, that have been through my experiences, that don't judge me. We're there for each other, you know, and when we put the drugs down, I find that I still have those same innate qualities. I'm a hard worker, you know, like I like to hustle. And now that I'm not hustling for like these negative means, you know, like, and I incorporate that drive into something healthy, like goals, like I'm a boss.